Ugh, these kind of stories absolutely suck. We have long talked about scummy organizations out there, orgs who somehow cannot figure out how to pay their players or oftentimes do scam their players out of payments as well. We've also talked about many esports organizations from the Turkish scene as well as those affiliated with football clubs who somehow struggle paying their players. One of which we talked about a long time ago. That was actually Galatasaray, and one of their members, that being Balkan, across a few of their team members complaining about delayed payments, eventually not being paid for several months until the ultimate banning of that organization from the Turkish League of Legends scene, that being the TCL, entirely. Now, what are the odds of one of those same players moving on to a different organization and then being scammed again? Probably very, very small, yet Balkan, that same member, is now being scammed again by the organization after leaving Galatasaray, going to a new one, obviously trying to evade, not being paid for play. He moves to a brand new home, that being a Brazilian org known as Redemption, who he has now come forward alongside another teammate to claim yet again he is not being paid. And this just sucks. We will see this time and time again for the following years, unfortunately so. When it comes not only time for Riot Games to intervene and step in here, I don't know if they will, but when it comes time for the lower tier scene of any esport out there, we see this sadly time and time again, right? We have definitely seen, especially when you want to go to Call of Duty or CSGO as well, a lot of scam organizations even try and come back and then scam again. And this story is incredibly tough because now Balkan has actually taken to Twitter to say he is quitting competitive, no longer competing, and actually retiring because of all of these constant scams he somehow becomes involved with. As he took to Twitter, which might be an alt account, it actually is confirmed it was Balkan, though. He says, RDP, that being Redemption, does not pay, and I won't be professional anymore. They ignored my contract. We said we were different from the previous team, but they were the same. I can't trust anyone anymore. I won't be a professional gamer anymore. Don't let people like me happen to people who are starting to become professionals. The same thing happened to me for a year. This makes my mind hard and makes me unable to concentrate on this. His teammate Patrick also responding, I really did my best, and this is true. Me and Balkan have been waiting for more than 2 months, and they continue to ignore our contract. I tried to understand and be considerate of them as much as I could, but I can't wait any longer. And that's just insane. I don't know if there's any words I can really put out there to state how I feel for players like this, waiting months on months, as Balkan even says, even further than that in the past team, to try and be paid for what they do for a living. Turns out that's a scam. They move on to a different team to try and be paid yet again, to have some sort of, contractual issues, to not be paid for a couple of months. You got to imagine these players are not at the tippity top when it comes to the esports scene. You got to pay rent. You got to pay bills. You got to pay for food. And if you go more than a month or 2 months or 3 or 4 without a check, it's very tough financially to afford anything out there. If you guys live on your own, you certainly know those how that kind of thing can have an effect on you. I certainly know that. Luckily enough to have a stable job here. I can't imagine going from employer to employer in what you love to do and competing in esports, and every single one for the past 2 now have simply just scammed you. It's a really sucky situation. You hope there's some sort of, ironically, redemption and this repercussion for the organization being not paying these players. Can Riot Games do anything? I have no idea. What's the future of these players, especially a guy like Balkan, who is now retiring, according to his own words? I don't even know what to say at this point, guys. It's just super sucky to see scamming organizations continue. All I can recommend for future players out there, a lawyer. Look over every single contract. If there's a loophole where they can try and avoid paying you, they will probably abuse it. We have seen this time and time again in the Turkish scene, these terrible contracts where supposedly when it comes to liability and legally, they're only doing things they can get away with because they can somehow get away with them. Look over the contracts. Outside looking in, it is so scummy to see a player out there now quit competing because organizations simply would not pay them. The unfortunate and I would say one of the most unlucky stories I have seen yet. A pro player in League of Legends goes from one scam organization to the next and is paid, not paid yet again. Until next time, I hope you guys all enjoy. Drink your water, drink your coffee. Hopefully something good will come of this. And if it does, I'll certainly keep you all posted. Until then, take care. I'll see you guys back here sometime soon.